is the hormone that regulates calcium levels, okay? Increased osteoclastic activity. I actually think I talked about this last week, right? At some point. But I'll say increased osteoclastic activity, it causes the kidney to retain, not excrete calcium. And it causes, if there's enough vitamin D present, it causes the lumen in the small intestine to absorb more calcium out of what's in the lumen so that it goes into the body. The long and the short of it is that what the parathyroid hormone does is increases serum calcium levels. Okay? That makes sense to you guys? So, what if there's a hypoparathyroid state? Listen, many things, but I want you to only know the obvious thing. If you have hypoparathyroidism, you're not increasing the amount of calcium that you need, right? You're not increasing osteoclastic activity. So what happens? What happens is you develop bone problems. Does that make sense? So why do you know that? I'm for sure going to test you on that next week. I basically gave you one of the 100 questions you're going to have next week. Listen to me though. For those of you who are into calcium supplementation, that is if you're taking too much calcium, you are creating a functional hypoparathyroid state in your body. Just saying. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
My mom, she's 40, and she broke her hip. So she diagnosed herself with osteoporosis. She broke her hip and started taking a bunch of calcium. She was taking it like all just take one in the morning, one at night. And then when she forgot, the next day she, I forgot to take, so I'll take 2 today. And then she forget, and I also I'll take 4 this morning, and then she was just like, she's crazy. Then she went to
All mothers.
she went to a doctor that was not a homeopathic doctor, and he gave her NP thyroid because he told her she has no hormone. I said, well, how did you take that out? And she said, just by what she told me. I said, did they draw labs? And so she's taking that and calcium, like
Broadcasting, girl.
like a bunch of calcium, and then she just, because I asked her, what's the medicine you're taking? Because I'm writing it down. She said that's also helping with her anxiety attacks. And she's giving me anxiety attacks.
Yeah, so listen, I appreciate your vulnerability big time, and you are justified in being anxious. Guys, and so what's going to happen
No,
is,
I'm taking notes like nobody.
I want you to listen, homeopathic doctor, there is no such thing.
That's after.
Oh, I learned and I got certified and I can go, wait, where? Okay, homeopathic doctor, that's like wanting to do a local bombing. Anyway, I'm joking, it was a joke, a complete joke. Those people kill people's lives, man. It's horrible. I can't say what you should do with your mom. Bottom line is you guys are going to have patients that do this. And they're going to come in and they're going to think that you're the lunatic. Okay? NP thyroid.
I looked it up. You should see the pictures.
Yes. I'm very familiar with it, Kayla. Yeah, Raina.
I just want to ask a quick question before I was just wondering, my mom doesn't have it. She got her thyroid removed, and I guess when she doesn't take the medication because it burns. What would that be from?
So she had her thyroid removed, you said? And where is the burning?
In her throat.
So there could be many reasons for that. That's something she should definitely talk to her primary care physician about.
Like when she doesn't take the medication.
Yeah. Okay, she should talk to somebody about it. Okay, so they resected the whole thing.
It's been a while.
Yeah, she needs to talk to her physician for sure. And I appreciate your guys' vulnerability big time. And, Kayla, for whatever it's worth, I had to borrow $200,000 so I could go to medical school because they didn't give grants at that time for medical school. And I spent a ridiculous amount of time being educated. I have all kinds of certifications. My mom did not do a day of college, and she swears she knows more medicine than so, yes, exactly. Guys, I'm telling you, you're gonna get patients though, seriously. Well, I went to this doctor, and he told me to take calcium. And
she also won't tell me his name because she said, I don't want you to look him up.
yeah, so that lets you know, even she doubts the legitimacy, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, so listen, I appreciate you saying it. You guys have no idea. There are a number of people who are doctors, in quotes, who are very famous in this state. Because they've got entire followings eating out of their hands, buying their crap, going to their whatever they do, and those people are gonna come in probably escorted by Chris's battalion. And it's gonna, and then the people in the emergency room basically have to be down and figure out what the hell they did to their body, okay? So, thank you for sharing that, and one number's enough for me to wrestle with, so. Hormones related to sugar balance. I don't care about delta and F, I want beta and alpha cells. Alpha cells do glucagon. What does glucagon do? Increases serum glucose levels. What do beta cells do? Proinsulin, it gets made into insulin. Now listen, whoa, wait, proinsulin? Right, it's released as an inactive hormone and then cleaved to be activated. Why? Because the body knows how important it is to get glucose or glucose analogs into the cells. The only way we have to make ATP is to break shit down into glucose or glucose analogs and then get them into the cell so they can do the cellular respiration thing. The only way we can do that is with insulin. Okay?
So what about the ATP that is made in pill?
I'm not even responding to that. It's a legitimate question. What about the ATP that's made into a pill? Listen, Andrea, okay? At the end of the day, we sell alcohol, we sell cigarettes, right? Planned Parenthood, God bless them, they do a very, very good service. And they give lots and lots and lots of females the pill and don't ever tell them what the downside is. So the fact that it's sold, God bless. I'm not gonna talk about it. There's a lot of stuff that people do that are outside of the boundaries of what's actually healthy, and we're not discovering new ways to get juiced to do some high performance activity. That's my answer, okay? So, I already talked to you guys about, I told you how diabetes type 2 comes about last week, okay? I gave you that one example. I want you to know this though, in the fasting state, oh, you mean religiously fasting? Well, certainly that could apply, but I don't care about religion, okay? I'm talking about in the fasting state, you guys are sitting here in a class. I've depleted your ATP reserves. Margaret is reaching in her backpack for the ATP pill, okay, even as we speak. Now, you guys are in a fasting state, so am I right now, right? But our glucose levels don't bottom out unless you have diabetes. How do they not bottom out? Glucagon is the hormone of fasting, okay? It keeps the sugar levels up when we don't have enough fuel coming in. Insulin takes those levels down from not getting high and gets the glucose into the cells. Does that make sense? I also want to say something else, something we talked about in Patho 1. There's this other diabetes called insipidus. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the pancreas. It has nothing whatsoever to do with glucose. All of it is, you either make no ADH or very good ADH. So it's a dehydration syndrome, okay? That's diabetes insipidus. Mellitus 1 and 2, diabetes 1 is genetic. Diabetes type 2, diabetes mellitus, is the kind you inherit from your bad habits. Okay? Does that make sense? So 95% of all the people that have type 2 diabetes don't have to have type 2 diabetes. There was a young lady at my household, one of my kids' friends, over the weekend, and she's a very crazy, wonderful, energetic, lunatic Latina, okay? And I can say that I'm a Sephardic Jew, I got Spanish ancestry. This girl's got Spanish and Colombian and Brazilian ancestry. And it's just like, holy shit, that's all I'm saying. But we're sitting there and we're eating, and we're talking, and she said, yeah, my dad's diabetic, my mom's diabetic. I mean, it runs in our family. Runs in our family. So seriously, guys, you're going to be dealing with these populations, right? It runs in our family. Oh, so they must be genetic, right? Not at all. Parents both got it in their 40s. What does that mean? Genes had nothing to do with it. What is it? It's how they eat. Okay? Regretfully, how most cultures eat, how many cultures eat, isn't healthy. Okay? No one loves tortillas more than me. No way. I could eat them from the rising of the sun till the going down of the same. Okay? But they're bad. How do you say that? Tabuita. He doesn't speak a lick of English and takes pride in making tortillas that are better than Golden Pride. Right? Get the frying pan out. So we're going to be doing Hanukkah in a couple weeks in my household. So Jim, do you do the latkes, the potato pancake? Hell yeah. Of course we do. You know, do you eat them? Not so much. I mean, you do, but not that much. It drives everybody in my family crazy. Honey, I'm gonna make some vegetables for Hanukkah. You know, so yeah, guys. I mean, the Jewish cuisine is about as unhealthy as you can get. Salt, schmaltz, fat, cholesterol, so that all the guys die young and the women can actually rule the universe. Okay? Oh shit! Did I just say that?
I want to be a part of that.
So, what was that?
Let's all celebrate Hanukkah.
Right. Good.
Let's do this.
Nice. Our instructor said we have to celebrate Hanukkah to become a licensed, healthcare professional. So listen, we have this thing called counter-regulatory hormones. What the hell does that mean? Listen, when we do fight or flight, what's one of the first, what do you need for fight or flight? ATP. So what do? We jack the serum glucose levels, right? So we have glucagon increasing glucose levels. We have insulin supposed to whisk away glucose. And we've got growth hormone and catecholamines and corticosteroids for people who are stressed or for people who are, if it goes down into my chest, I think prednisone, etc. And they're called counter-regulatory because they also increase the glucose level. So Jim, does that mean if I'm a chronically stressed person and I don't know how to effectively offload my stress, then I'm setting myself up to become a diabetic? Hell yes you are. Who are the sickest people on the planet? People who have diabetes. It's so much sexier to talk about certain cancers and complicated neurological disorders and MS and this, that, and the other. And they are very intellectually satisfying. I grant you that. But there's a 45% probability that every patient you see has or will develop diabetes in the state. Yeah, Chris?
I want to clarify. Counter-regulatory hormones increase glucose level?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So then what you have is, oh, so now I have to make more insulin, right? So what does that mean? When you're constantly getting tweaked, whether it's meth or Sudafed, God bless the inventors of Sudafed, anything, you're stressed, you don't know how to offload it, those kind of regulatory hormones are causing your pancreas to have hell. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? What happens when we exercise? I want you to know this. It's a cool mechanism. You'd think we release more insulin because we need to make more ATP, get the glucose out of the circulatory system. That happens second. The insulin levels initially drop, and the glucagon levels increase. Why? To get enough serum glucose elevated so that you can deliver that glucose, the excess glucose, to the muscles that are doing the work for the exercise, so they can be ultimately harvested for ATP. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Then insulin rises. You know the other thing I told you guys last week, what's one of the really amazing benefits of exercise? It allows your cells to require less insulin to get the right amount of glucose into the cells. That's why you can eat all the right stuff in the world if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. If you don't also do exercise, you're eventually fighting a losing battle. Okay? Stress, already talked about it. So listen, prednisone is an anti-inflammatory. That doesn't just mean it reduces swelling. It tamps down the immune system. Anybody who has an autoimmune disease knows that at some point when one drug doesn't work and you're trying to find another protocol that you can qualify for that works, then the doctor gives you ginormous doses of prednisone. Because that's a very effective immune system modulator, dials it down. And we need that, okay? When you're chronically stressed, that's what you're doing. Too much sugar, what does prednisone do? Increase serum glucose levels. Bless God, I'm not taking it then. No, if you need the prednisone, you take the damn thing and you do the taper, okay? I'm talking about stress here. You have to find ways. Smoking, drinking, smoking weed. Now, dude, just chillax. Okay, don't get me started. Last day. Okay. So, type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes. Those are the only ones I care about. Type 1 usually diagnosed in childhood or the teen years. Okay. Excuse me. And type 1, here's how we refer to type 1. It's an absolute insulin deficiency disease. Why? Because the mechanisms that bring about type 1 destroy the beta cells in the pancreas, and either the kid's not making any insulin or very little insulin from the get-go. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? That's why it's an absolute insulin deficiency. Yeah, Jerica?
So it's not like about like what they eat? Like
For type 1? No. Do they have to watch what they eat? Hell yes.
okay.
But it's not because of what they eat, it's not because of lack of exercise. It just is. Make sense? So, absolute insulin deficiency. Listen, type 1, absolute insulin deficiency, only type 1 gives you ketoacidosis. Okay? Now we're going to look at what happens with type 2. Jim had a relative who had type 2 who was diagnosed with ketoacidosis, Mazel tov. Okay? Nothing's universal in life. So there are exceptions. But for our purposes, ketoacidosis only happens with type 1 diabetics. Okay? The other thing is, why do all diabetics struggle with polyuria, polydipsia, and polyphagia? The glucose isn't getting into the cells. So the cells believe they're under a state of lack of nutrition. So the mechanism gets back to the hypothalamus, bless you,
Thank you.
welcome, need to eat. Why? Because the glucose can't get into the cells. Does that make sense to you guys? That explains polyphagia. Polyuria, well, if you have too much glucose, we talked about it for the renal unit. Yikes, right? If you have too much serum glucose persistently, you're gonna land up getting it into, you're in problems with the kidneys, right? And what does it do? The kidneys want to get rid of the excess glucose. The problem is glucose exerts an oncotic pressure in the filtrate. So it keeps extra water in the filtrate and you pee too much. Does that make sense to you guys? Well, that's where the polydipsia comes from too, because you're peeing too much. Does that make sense? And that's true for all diabetics, not just type 1. Yeah, Brianna?
Do we have type 1 and type 2 at the same time?
I don't know. I'll have to email me to remind me and I'll look it up. I've never seen that, but that doesn't mean that there isn't.
Like if you want to tell you that you type 1, then you can take that.
Can you develop type 2? By the time you would have developed type 2 if you have type 1, you're probably dead. But I'll look it up and email me, okay? So I don't care about that. Type 2 is the most common form. Non-Caucasian and elderly are disproportionately affected. Listen, let's get rid of the elderly for a second. Why? Not because they're lazy asses, okay? When I say sedentary, that's not what I'm saying. But senior citizens, if they have health compromises and they're not mobile, that means that they don't need to generate as much ATP, but they might still be acting like they need to generate as much ATP. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Non-Caucasian. So these three groups, which we have in the state, you will treat for diabetes type 2. Native Americans, Latinos, and African Americans. Okay? Why is that? Because our genes are messed up? No. Because the really great tasting food that those groups love to eat aren't so good for the body. That's why. Okay? Other risk factors, obviously obesity, and I already explained to you last week how we end up becoming diabetic. So, ketoacidosis, not common for type 2. Instead, what do we have? Hyperglycemic, hyperosmolar, non-ketotic coma. So my dad got the gold medal by becoming insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic when he was in his late 70s, early 80s. My dad went to the hospital many times. His face would get flush red, and he'd get, all kinds of crazy symptomatology, and he was not thinking right. And there were twice when he hit his, you guys ready for this? Serum glucose level once was 825. And he actually discharged himself out of the hospital that night. And got home and went for a walk, for like a 2-hour walk. And said he felt better. And then he bought a candy bar. And then 2 nights later, he entered the emergency room the second time with 851. And it took 3 weeks for him to leave the hospital that month. Most people are dead at 600, okay? Or they're in a coma. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So, and what's the problem? What is HHNK? It dehydrates the hell out of the patient. So, the high sugar level is super bad, but the emergency is massive dehydration. Make sense? Okay. So, I don't care about these. Gestational diabetes. Oh, yeah, Chris, and then Steph.
So the dehydration is caused by the hyperosmolarity or the hypoglycemia?
Well, the hyperosmolarity because of hyperglycemia. That's why a type 2 diabetic can survive an 800 and a type 1 can't.
Is type 2 diabetes a lifelong diagnosis? Since it's mostly self-inflicted, if you change it with your habits, would you still just be managed? Or would you ever not be?
Okay, so that's a hell of a good question. And the answer is, and I'm not being a lawyer, when I say it depends. So are you insulin dependent at the time? You might be insulin dependent the rest of your life. Odds are pretty good you will be. But maybe you don't have to take as much. Okay? So that's the good news, right? So you eat right and you exercise like a freak with type 2. Type 1, you don't get serious about exercise without talking to your healthcare provider first. Because they experience glucose drops way the hell quicker than type 2 diabetics do. That's a great question, Steph. It just depends. So when people are pre-diabetic, whatever, listen. So you ask, I know you're a mom. So were you ever pre-pregnant? Right? Not pregnant, but pre-pregnant. No, you're either pregnant or you're not, right? So when we say pre-diabetic, what are we saying? We're American. That's what we're saying. Okay? So ease it in. Don't hurt me. I'm pre-diabetic. Sweet. So I'm good drinking my wine tonight, and I'll deal with it in a year. Now, pre-diabetic, that's the optimal stage to get serious about exercise and diet because you can completely avoid type 2 that way. Okay? Gestational diabetes, listen, it's almost assuredly a pregnancy hormone thing. A lot of women have been given some really shitty advice. Hey, you know, if you don't get this under control, you're going to be a diabetic afterwards. There's a strong correlation between gestational diabetes and lifelong type 2. Guys, there is no physiological correlation between the two. The only correlation, if it exists, is, hey, I kind of like that ice cream cone at 3 in the morning. It's habit. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. And listen, this whole thing, only put on 19 or 20 pounds during the pregnancy. If you have a healthcare provider that's telling you that, get a different healthcare provider, please. It's better to err a little bit on having a little extra weight than not enough. Yeah.
Is there a correlation between gestational diabetes and the baby getting type 1 diabetes?
So that's a phenomenal question, Kayla. So the short answer is perhaps. The issue is if mom had gestational diabetes that's not managed at all or that's poorly managed, it actually sets up that kid for a whole lot of other homeostatic failures. So it's a very serious problem for the kid. It doesn't necessarily give the kid type 1. It might, but doubtful. Yeah, Steph?
In multiple pregnancies, if you have gestational diabetes in the first one, would you be more likely to have it in the second one or something? You know?
So the conventional wisdom is yes. But the question is why, right? And the thinking is probably if you had difficult time managing it the first time, you're going to have a difficult time managing it the second time. Okay? Let's go to slide 29. It's extremely important that you know this. Of all moms who are otherwise healthy, who's the one that's at most risk? Both her and the infant for serious problems of type 1 diabetic. if she is not, but listen, not one single one of my 5 kids were planned, okay? Not saying there were accidents, what I'm saying is, we didn't sit down and say, hey, we want to have a kid. It happened, okay? Why am I saying that? Because how the hell do you tell a person, a female who's a type 1 diabetic, listen, girl, you need to plan the pregnancy, you need to get pregnant, you need to plan it. You need to be completely glucose managed with very little up and downs, very few troughs and peaks. Because otherwise, you're increasing the likelihood that that infant's gonna die. And very possibly, in utero, it's gonna die, and then put you at risk also. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So let's go to 36. So, obesity. What is the strongest risk factor for type 2 diabetes? Obesity. Okay? What's obesity defined as? There's a bunch of ways to look at it. A really cool way that a clinic down in the South Valley figured out, and articles are published nationally now from the research study, was it's really about waist size. Okay? So, if your BMI is greater than 30, male or female, you're obese, you're at risk for diabetes and illness. So work on it, okay? Exercise, absolutely have to exercise and eat right. But if you're a type 1, you can't just say, I'm gonna do some serious hardcore exercise. Because even a hike on a warm day will do you in, okay? So you have to talk to the healthcare provider. Right, so for that, let's go to 44. We're almost done here, guys. Just the way in our country, half of the people that I meet, especially in this state, dude, I've got celiac. Dude, I've got gluten intolerance. They don't, right, Heather? No, because when you have it, and you know, okay? But Jim, I swear, when I have pasta, I get an upset stomach. Maybe you're preparing it wrong, right? Whatever. It's the same thing with the statement, I feel hypoglycemic. Dude, I'm hypoglycemic. Okay? We use things that are so crazy. Yes, it's true, you can become temporarily hyperglycemic or hypoglycemic, but that's not legit, okay? What's the single most common symptom of somebody's hypoglycemic? I'm gonna test you on this. Yes, there's, the person's complexion can get blanched and look like they're borderline anemic. They might have anxiety or palpitations. That definitely happens the lower the levels of serum glucose get to. But almost universally, somebody who's diabetic, who is legit hypoglycemic, develop shakes or tremors. Okay? That's what you're looking for. So the last 2 slides, this one and the next one, hemoglobin A1C. So doing a fasting serum glucose level is essentially pretty meaningless, okay? In principle, the hemoglobin A1C levels and the serum glucose levels should track. But here's when they don't track. Patient X, I think that you've been putting on weight, and I'm kind of concerned. So I want you to go get some labs done. And so just, I'm gonna write the script, just take this and go get your blood drawn. Did you have anything this morning? No. Go get your blood drawn. Do I have to do it today, Doc? No, but it's a good idea, let's get on it. So it's like, Wednesday morning. So is it okay if I go Friday morning, if the clinic's available? Yeah, okay. So what do? They eat nothing for 2 days. And then they have an artificially low serum glucose level. you don't look for it. What you do is you test their hemoglobin A1C. And that's usually good for 3 or 4 months because hemoglobin has a profound affinity for serum glucose, okay? So when we say glycosylated hemoglobin, like hypothetically a test question in a week, glycosylated hemoglobin is testing hemoglobin A1C. It just means sugar-bound hemoglobin. So here's the deal. If your patient comes back in 3 or 4 months and it's not artificial, if they busted their ass to make sure that they had a good hemoglobin A1C level, you compliment them because that's 3 or 4 months out. So what does that mean? They're doing the right things, okay? Your textbook says if there are no symptoms or adverse consequences, a hemoglobin A1C level, excuse me, of 7 or lower is good. 7? Jim, hoo-hoo, 6.1, diabetic. That's actually in internal medicine. 6, yeah, you're right there. Does 6.1 mean you need insulin? No. But at 6.1, you're probably doing 1,000 milligrams of metformin a day. Okay? Why does the book say 7 or less? Because we're American. Okay? For real. What's an optimal hemoglobin A1C level? Under 5. Whoa. Dude, that's not possible. Oh, yes, it is, actually. Without a whole lot of adjustments. Okay? And then the last thing to be said about diabetes, I cannot stress, it's prevention, guys. 95% of the patients you are going to see who have diabetes, it's the gold medal hanging heavily around the neck. So the key is to educate people. So there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in the International Village out there in Central. There are a lot of cool anthropologists who are doing work with people from the medical school at UNM and showing abuelitas how to alter a little what they're doing with what they eat, okay? So, we're done. I don't need many papers. I think there are a couple of people whose tests I need to get back. Make sure you come up here and get your test back. Before you guys leave, the test starts at 6 sharp and will go to 8. It's 2 hours. If you are more than 10 minutes late, I'm not letting you in. Do not ask me by email, can I meet to find out what I got? You have to wait for whatever the hell they post, which is I think the problem right there. Okay? There are now no more tests that is due. Alright? You guys have been a really amazing class. I'll see you next week.